You can listen to the Canadian Gothic early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Include it with Prime.
You are listening to Canadian Gothic.
Hello, listeners. In this episode of the Canadian Gothic, we're going to unpack another collection of your encounters with creeps. If you're new to this series, let me get you caught up. A while back, I asked the listeners of the Canadian Gothic to share their personal encounters with unsettling, eerie, and downright creepy people. And it seems that request really struck a nerve, as years later, I'm still receiving your responses. And of course, I've been doing everything I can to bounce these stories back at you. And that's what we're going to be doing again here tonight. In this episode, we'll collectively cringe at the 29th volume of your real-life stories of encounters with creeps. In this episode, Madelayne Klein and I are going to hear about creeps driving Uber, creeps creeping out pregnant women, a creepy creep in a pizza shop, and a bunch more. So buckle up. In this episode of the Canadian Gothic, we'll be unpacking volume 29 of your encounters with creeps. Ms. Madelayne Klein, happy almost Halloween. We're in the month of October. The ghosts and goblins are almost at our doorsteps, and I'm so excited. This is my favorite time of year by far.
It's always Halloween for you, though. Like, it's Halloween year-round for you.
But I fit in a bit more this time of year. And I love the weather, too. I love fall. It's, or as I call it, like sweater weather, where you can wear a sweater outside day and night. It's perfect. I'm so content with living in Canada for 1 month of the year. The month is October, and we're in the middle of it. I'm so excited. Anything going on in your life?
No, very little.
Have you listened to the new Taylor Swift album?
I only clips that I hear on TikTok. I'm not a huge Swiftie. I definitely like her, but I wasn't eagerly waiting for her new album.
It seems like it's a pop culture thing, though, to at least listen to it and see. What about this then? Have you watched the new season of Wednesday?
I haven't watched the first one.
What?
No.
Okay, I love the first season. I'm about to start the second season. I'm pretty excited about it. I'm talking about Wednesday starring Jenna Ortega, which is on Netflix, I believe. I'm sure people know. Lots of people like it. I love the first season because it has that, this kind of dark humor, which a lot of shows don't have nowadays, and they did a good job of it.
I've heard both seasons are 10 out of 10, and I know I'll like it. I really should watch it, but when I have a spare minute to do anything, I'm going to have me a little lay down.
Okay.
Once a napper, always a napper. And if I have even just half an hour, I'm going to get into bed.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Good. You live your best life over there. But let's move away from the pleasantries and get into the creeps. We are now on episode 29 of the Encounters with Creeps series. For anyone new to this series or new to this show, the Canadian Gothic's Encounters with Creeps is a series where listeners of the show share with us their encounters with unsettling people. So think weird roommates, odd people at the bus stop, weird coworkers, that sort of thing. I guess actually those are three very common kind of brackets we pull from, in fact.
Well, and really, there's common brackets, but then, we listen to some of them and it's really anyone can be a creep.
Yeah, and if, again, this is episode 29 in this series now, we've heard some of the strangest creep encounters that I ever could have imagined, stranger than I ever would have imagined, and we got some really weird ones tonight. But as we always do, let's start it with a creep in the news, and we'll go with a creep in your province of Saskatchewan. Let's hear about a man in Saskatoon. His name is Kyle Hamiluk, and he's just been sentenced to nearly 3 years in prison after he was convicted of secretly filming 23 women through their window. But when it comes to getting in trouble for being a voyeur, this is far from Kyle's first rodeo. Listen to the story of Saskatoon's most prolific voyeur. Love that word. Except the meaning of it. I love voyeur.
It's a lot, and it's disturbing.
The Crown calls it a disturbing number of victims. 23 women secretly watched and recorded through the windows of their homes. 36-year-old Kyle Hamiluk admitted to surveilling these women while they were fully or partially nude. Hamiluk has now been sentenced to 2 years and 10 months after pleading guilty to 23 counts of voyeurism and 2 counts of breaching probation. During sentencing, Justice Krista Zur spoke about the serious harm caused by Hamiluk's actions, telling him, quote, You exploit their powerlessness for your own sexual gratification. Hamiluk has prior voyeurism convictions from 2017 and 2020. Dunning says there is little case law involving repeat voyeurism offenders.
The maximum I found was 2 years. A lot of those cases were in conjunction with other offenses, other sexual-related offenses, which bumped those sentences a lot higher.
Hamiluk's nearly 3-year sentence is among the longest handed down for voyeurism alone. With credit for time served, he has about 7 months left behind bars, followed by 2 years of probation. As part of his probation, Hamiluk is banned from owning a phone or any electronic device capable of taking photos or videos. He also has a 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. curfew for the first year and must complete programming for addictions and sexual offending.
Good grief.
When I say a prolific voyeur, it seems like not even in Saskatoon. It seems like it's unprecedented that someone has this many repeat offenses related to voyeurism, to the fact that they weren't even sure what to do with them. So they gave him 3 years, which equates to 7 months after all is said and done.
This is just so bizarre to me. I don't understand these people. The internet is a thing, and porn is also a thing.
Yeah, it's clearly he has a thing with the non-consensual nature, the sneaking around and spying. It's like being like a perverted bank robber. And instead of getting money, you're just getting like nude photos of people.
I guess.
He's already been convicted twice in the lead up to this, 2018 and 2020. And you'll notice when you hear the charges against him, he had, whatever it was, the 23 counts of voyeurism, but also 2 counts of breaching conditions. It seems like the reason they even caught him in the newest series of charges is he was caught with a laptop, which he wasn't supposed to have. When the cops took the laptop and went through it, it was just full of photos of women. And I think they then went back to find out who the women were. And that was how he got caught this latest time. But I just feel like if you did it in 18, you did it in 2020, and now you're convicted again in 2025, at what point are you like a dangerous offender, or does something happen beyond you're going to go to jail for a little bit and take this program? Now I get that, like, to be in Canada, we have the dangerous offender designation. I wonder if you could get that for a crime that's not like physically violent, because what he's doing is awful and horrific, but he isn't like, I guess if he was breaking in and like touching them, it'd be a different story.
Yeah, I don't think that even goes near to fitting the criteria of being a dangerous offender. But like, think of like those women probably feel so violated.
Absolutely. I talk about this all the time. Someone broke into my car like probably 7 years ago, and it was just such a, like, I felt like society betrayed me, and I was so affected by that, and it was such a minor thing that absolutely pales in comparison to finding out that some guy was like peeking in my windows when I was, using the bathroom and filming it, and then doing God knows what to it. I can't even imagine how that must feel, because I know how bad someone breaking into my car and stealing nothingness affected me.
So funny you say that, because I have the exact same experience, and I was just thinking about it.
Just get it off your chest. This is a safe place.
I'm glad.
Tell us what happened.
Yeah, I got up for work one day, and that's when I worked at 6 a.m. So I was leaving the house at like 5:50, and I noticed my garage door, not like the car door, but like just the door to go into the garage was open just a little bit. And I kind of did it to myself. I never locked it. And every time I didn't lock it, I was like, I should lock that door. But like, oh well.
The door to the garage or your car?
Both.
Okay, so you had the garage door that someone could just open and then get into where your unlocked car is.
So like I went in, and like there was really nothing in my car that could have been stolen, or my garage. But yeah, like I think my center console was open, and like my glove box was open or something. But I just I felt so violated. I was like, I was sleeping just like 100 yards away, and someone was like rifling through my stuff. And yeah, nothing was even taken and nothing was broken, but it was still so, ugh.
Mine was the
Gross.
same kind of thing, and it was actually around this time of year. What they stole from my car was in my trunk. I had my Halloween candy that I was going to give away for trick-or-treaters.
Oh
So when I
no.
woke up, my trunk was open, my dash was open. So they took like a box of chips, like a box of Halloween chips. So that's whatever, $20. And then they went through like my center console and my dash. And I think what they took was like a phone charger and like maybe $3 in change. But what affected me was not only the invasion of privacy or whatever of someone coming in my car. I think what bothered me more was my car was parked like right up against my house, so they
Ugh,
had to like
exactly.
be on the side. In your case, they went in your house to your garage.
And yeah, like my bedroom window is not far away. And oh, it's just such a
Ugh.
gross
Yeah,
feeling.
and
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 yeah, like no one saw us naked and we feel like that still. Like imagine what these women felt like.
yes, in our case, it wasn't anything against us. It was our space where the people who are affected by someone like Kyle Hamiluk, he invades their space because he's up there probably right against their house, climbing up, peeking in their window, watching them get changed with his phone.
Ugh.
And then he brings that brings that home, and I'd be afraid of, I don't want this pervert looking at it, but also is he sharing it with other perverts on probably X, formerly known as Twitter. Like some, I'd
Yeah.
just be it's an awful
Or even worse, making money off of it.
Would that be worse? Yeah, I guess it would. It's just it's all awful. But I brought that story as an example of a creep in the news, much like the creeps we're going to be talking about tonight, except this guy crosses a line that the creep encounters we talk about on the Creep Encounters series usually doesn't cross. We're looking for, as Madelayne has said, trauma with a lowercase t. So we don't want it to be at the point where I'm like, you shouldn't be telling us this creep story. You should be calling the police. We don't want that far.
Right. That's where we draw the line. It's like when your creepiness is like a matter of is that legal or not, we
Okay.
have an
Yeah.
issue. I mean, like some of them are so cringy that they feel illegal, but they're not.
Mhm. Yeah, we have some that'll be on the line tonight. What we'll do is I'm going to break it up into a couple batches here. We're going to hear creep encounters related to pregnancy. That was something you called out for recently. We're
Nice.
going to hear creep encounters related to taxis and Ubers, which I think you called out for as well.
Yep.
And then we just have the regular WTF bucket, which are just bizarre and unusual creeps. Let's take our first break. When we get back, do you want to start with taxi/Uber or pregnancy?
We'll start with taxi/Uber because my husband and I were just in one on Friday night. And for some reason, like I got in and we both got into the back seat and I told him, I was like, I've been scolded by many of my like female friends because when I take a taxi or Uber alone, I get into the front seat.
Oh, really? You freak.
They're not a chauffeur. Like they're just a person.
I have a feeling you're making them feel uncomfortable. Did they want you up there?
Probably not.
Well, the first voicemail is this guy's like, and then she just jumped right in the front seat. Screw him up my
And wouldn't
stereo.
and wouldn't stop talking, ask me how my night was,
Yeah.
if it was busy.
No, ours are going to be very different than what you put your drivers through by sitting in the front seat. Let's take our first break, and when we get back, we'll hear about some Uber/Lyft/taxis gone wrong. Before the break, Madelayne, you shared how you are a bit of a creep in an Uber. Let's hear how some Uber drivers can be creeps. The first story of the night will be Olivia's Uber Black creep. Now, Uber Black, I didn't know what that was because I don't take Uber. I guess that's like a premium service. You can pay like a bit extra and get like, like a higher end car or something.
Oh my God. I've spent a lot of money on stupid things, but it would never be that.
Okay. Well, let's hear of Olivia's experience with the Uber Black platform. Here it comes.
Hi, Jordan and Madeline. I'm a longtime listener from the US, although I now have the privilege of living in Vancouver. In fact, I started listening to the podcast over a year ago when I learned I was moving to Canada so I could hear about what things were like up north. I suppose listening to Encounters with Creeps is not the most reassuring way to get information about the place I was moving to, but it's okay because I feel very safe here majority of the time by far, except during this recent creep encounter. So I was out to dinner with some girlfriends. I was in a good mood because it's hard to make friends in a new city as an adult. So I felt good about that. And I needed a ride home. I'd ordered an Uber. An Uber Black shows up, which is unnecessary, but whatever. It's this big fancy Cadillac. And the driver is a guy about my age. I'm in my early 30s. Now, in my opinion, if you act creepy as an Uber or Lyft driver, you're intentionally being inappropriate and predatory because obviously drivers in this situation are in the position of power, and passengers in this situation are inherently vulnerable, certainly as a young woman riding by herself. I get in the car, and immediately this person compliments my appearance. In some settings, that could be innocent, but I was made to feel uncomfortable right off the bat. And then he goes on to pepper me with questions like, what was I doing before he picked me up? And what am I doing after? And where am I from? Blah, blah, blah. I tried to be polite because I learned that's what you do in Canada, but he wasn't getting that my short answers meant I didn't want to talk, or maybe he did understand and he didn't care. So I eventually put in my headphones and ignored him, contacted my partner to let him know what was going on, opened the window because at this point I have a migraine from this person's incredibly potent cologne, and changed my destination so he wouldn't be dropping me off where I actually live. Fortunately, nothing else happens and the ride ended without further incidents. Unfortunately, when I tried to raise this as a safety concern with Uber, I was told that my name and contact info would be associated with the case, and I just wanted nothing to do with that. So all this guy got was a bad review, and I hope he's been in a minor car accident and can no longer drive for Uber because this is super sketchy and inappropriate, and I don't know if the vetting process needs to be better. But otherwise, I've had a great time in Canada.
So what do you think of that? I was listening and I thought, is this guy like the kind of creep that you would actually complain to the company about, or is he just like overly friendly and maybe wasn't getting social cues? Like, I guess what I'm getting at, was it a safety risk or just like a driver who didn't get social cues? Because as far as we can tell from that story, he didn't cross any line. Maybe asking her or telling her she looked good though. Maybe that was a bit of a line cross.
See, that's the problem. It's like we don't know what his intentions were, and either or could be right.
Mhm.
Would he have done the same thing to a male passenger?
Mm,
I we know good and goddamn well he wouldn't
yeah.
tell a guy that he looked great.
You look awesome, buddy. That shirt fits great.
I don't know. I think people need to gauge the situation a little bit better.
Especially if you're
Like, don't.
in the job. Like if you're a taxi driver, you got to be a people person. And the short answers are such a clue to like, okay, she doesn't want to chat. Putting the earbuds in is certainly a clue.
Right. Maybe a good rule would be like wait if until they ask you.
Mhm.
Like if they ask you, how's your night? What were you doing before this? What are you doing after?
Yeah.
Fine.
Can we do
You
it
can-
together?
You can ask. But yeah, maybe don't.
Mm.
Like if the customer's chatty, fine. Yammer away.
Yeah.
But if not, just shut up.
Yeah.
It's nice that now on Uber, to my knowledge, you can request like a silent ride or a quiet ride. I never have. Haven't really looked on the app that much to even see that option, but I've heard of this, and I'm like, that's a really good idea.
That is a good idea because some people just don't want to be talked to. I find I don't have that problem often in a car because my thing is I'll usually have headphones in, but also if I get in a taxi or something, the first thing I'm doing is like opening up my phone and doing stuff. So maybe I'm preoccupied, but then again, I'm not like an attractive younger woman, and I feel like they are probably the people getting preyed upon by taxis more so than middle-aged men with phones. But I'm probably not this guy's type. In her case, I'm surprised she actually went to Uber about it. I'm not surprised they didn't take it that seriously.
No, me neither. That was the least shocking thing of this story.
Yeah. I think he would have had to really cross a line and for them to care, the amount of drivers they would have and weird complaints and stuff. But Let's move on to the next one and see if this one we react any differently. Because this is another Uber creep. A listener named Ella will share this one. This one goes way further. This one comes across like a little bit of a horror movie. Listen to the story of Ella's Uber creep. In Uber, we can use that as like double meaning here because they're driving an Uber. But
I love how this word works in so many ways.
this is an Uber creep, but he's actually a Lyft driver, which I think is like an American version of Uber.
It's all the same.
So the Lyft pulls up and I get in. This dude had 5 stars, and I never had any worries with Lyfts aside from, your usual light sexual harassment that's to be expected from a woman getting in a Lyft. And so he starts driving, and his first question is, "Are you coming back from work?" And I say yes, that usual first 2 minutes of polite Lyft conversation until it's silent for the rest of the ride. And his second question is, "So how old are you?" Okay, so I'm not loving that question, but I guess it's because I look young and I'm all dressed up in my terrible work attire. So I reply with 21 and explain something about how I'm a student and it's a summer internship, all that. So this guy keeps driving, and under his breath for the next few minutes, he's muttering 21, 21, over and over again. At this point, I'm getting weirded out, so I just ignore it and sit there. I mean, what can I do? The next question is, "So, are your parents in insert city name here at the hotel?" Not a great follow-up question, and FYI, the destination on the Lyft ride was the hotel, so that's how he knew where it was, I guess. And mind you, this entire time he's talking to me, he literally has his arm around the back of the seat and is completely turned to stare me dead in the eye as he talks, one hand on the wheel and 0 eyes on the road. And okay, fast forward more creepy conversation and short one-word answers for me. Like, "Your eyes are pretty. Is that your natural hair?" Stuff like that, and more muttering of 21, 21. So we get on the freeway, and this is where things go sideways. This guy's demeanor completely switches from creepily flirty, but nice regardless, to completely insane and in some kind of blind rage. Not towards me, but to everyone else on the road. It's like I'm not even there. He starts speeding up to 90 to 100 miles per hour, opens his window and starts yelling stuff like, "Y'all don't know I'm gonna fucking end you." I can't remember exactly what he said, probably due to being so scared, but that's the gist, and it was honestly probably worse. The whole time, he has no hands on the wheel, and both of his hands are actually out the window, looking like he's casting spells at other cars on the road, like some Skyrim sorcery shit. And again, I can't remember exactly what I said, but I tried to calm him down, literally praying to bring back the creepy flirting, so he'd put his hands back on the wheel and stop speeding. And so after a couple of minutes of this and 15 more minutes on the freeway, at least according to Lyft, I frantically try to call and text my mom, but like it's a horror movie or something. There's no cell and it's not going through. I genuinely thought that this was going to be my last few minutes on Earth. That's how unhinged he was acting. Yeah, so the rest of the time on the freeway, I was literally trying to think of the last words to my family that probably wouldn't have even gone through. I was thinking like, okay, I'm going to write this on the notes app and they can find it in the car wreck. And so yeah, that's a little too morbid for this show. So in summary, his rage switch must have flipped off and he was back to talking normally again, or at least more normal than whatever evil wizard shit was happening a moment ago. And I was basically shell-shocked, but just glad he was done with his freeway crash out. So the rest of the ride, I knew I just needed to hang on until we got there. I considered changing the destination away from the hotel so I could get out sooner, but I didn't want to risk anything. I didn't want to set him off again. So I just left it.
So Madelayne, one of the parts of that story was the guy repeating her age over and over again. And that sounded really creepy, right?
Yeah.
I think I know what was actually happening. I got my 12-year-old son here who's like an expert of like online memes and stuff that kids are into. And I think I know what was happening. I just want to play you a second of this. Tell me if this is like some kind of joke that kids make.
So I reply with 21, and so this guy keeps driving, and under his breath for the next few minutes, he's muttering 21, 21, over and over again.
So what's that all about?
It would be impossible to explain without the clip, but there's this clip of two guys, probably a brother and an older brother, and the older brother calls the kid stupid, and the kid's like, nah. So the older brother asks the younger kid, what's 9 plus 10? And the kid replies with, 21.
You stupid.
Nah.
What's 9 plus 10?
21.
So now it's a joke to just say 21.
Yes.
Okay.
Literally, it is just a joke to say 21.
Thank you, buddy.
You're welcome. Bye.
Love you.
I have never heard of this in my life.
When I heard this clip, the 21, like I was like, oh, he's repeating her age. But then I started thinking of like, my kids and their friends used to always just say 21. And so maybe this Lyft driver was into like meme culture. And that was maybe a part of a misunderstanding at the beginning of the drive, which made things weird because him repeating her age is odd. But that doesn't explain the crash out on the highway that she described, which is an altogether, like the guy has a psychotic break, it sounds like.
Oh, yeah. And it just keeps getting worse. So the first line of hers that I really liked was 0 eyes on the road. But then the casting spells out the window and just the general rage. It sounds like he was going through some sort of episode.
Absolutely. And that's terrifying, the whole thing. I like the differences between those two Uber Lyft creep encounters we heard. Olivia, the first caller we heard, was like offended and upset by the questions he asked, complimenting her. She went to Uber with like a complaint, didn't go anywhere. Ella, who we just heard, she says like, she was basically expecting to be sexually harassed.
And then it got even worse and she was expecting to die.
Thank goodness Olivia wasn't in that car.
Oh my God. Oh, that would have been. But you know what? I really hope that if that guy would have been reported, something would have come from it.
Yeah. I wonder if she filmed any of it. Because if that was me, my first instinct, I guess her instinct was she opened the notes app and started writing like a last will and testament. Yeah. But I would be probably hitting record on my phone or hopping on a live stream so people can see what's happening. But then again, you say that, but when you're in that situation, I would think like if this guy sees me filming him, maybe he's just going to, I don't know what he's going to do. So I would maybe be in survival mode, and maybe I would do what she did. I would start writing, telling my parents how thankful I am for how well of a life they gave me. And if they find this phone in the car wreck, I love them.
One of my biggest issues with this guy, there's many, but when he asks if her parents are staying with her or whatever at the hotel she was going to, super weird. Why should it matter? Don't ask that. So that's just creepy. But then, trying to kill her with his road rage was also really creepy.
Road rage says a lot about people, especially if you're a taxi driver and you can't handle like traffic. Man, you must have long days at work.
And like, especially like freeway traffic, I would rather die than drive on an American freeway. No thanks. And like, I think I'm the best driver in the city. I always say like 80,000 drivers in the city, and I'm the best one.
You're the best.
But yeah, no, driving in the States scares me.
Before we get to the batch of pregnancy-related creep encounters, let's pull one of the what the heck's up with this creep stories from the what the heck's up with this creep batch of stories. We're going to go to the UK to listen to hear the story of a listener named Ellie who had a very creepy employee who was looking for a mentor, whatever that is.
Okay.
Hi, Jordan and Madelayne. This is Ellie from the UK. Long-time listener, first-time caller. So I've got a couple of creep encounters to share with you. I was the manager and I had a creepy member of staff who was a sort of younger guy who had a lot of, I think, mental health issues, to be honest. But he had OCD quite severely, and he would use it as a way to sort of manipulate me into helping him leave the office. And in doing so, he would walk me right to my car, so he knew what I drove, which I knew what he was doing. Very uncomfortable. Also, when he knew I was leaving the area and going to a different area in the same organisation, he asked for a one-to-one meeting with me, and obviously I was his manager, so I couldn't really say no. So we had this one-to-one meeting, and he was so nervous, and I honestly thought he was going to propose. And he was we sat down, and he says, "Oh, like looking down at his hands, and he goes, "Oh, will you?" And I thought, "Oh my God, he's going to propose." But he said, "Will you be my mentor?" And I sort of thinking really fast, was like, "Oh, well, I'm not actually like a trained mentor, but there's like a scheme, it's a place you can get hold of, and a mentor will be like matched up with you." And he's like, "Oh, okay, like, where do we find, where do I find that out?" And I sort of let him know. And then he goes, "And what is a mentor?" Which was just classic. He was just trying to find a way to stay in touch with me. But fortunately, I dodged that and got away from him. But he did a lot of gaslighting and lying and all sorts. He looked like very baby-faced, and he acted like a victim, but I think he was actually super predatory, and by and far the scariest person I've ever met. But yeah, I love what you guys do, and keep doing it. I will continue to keep listening.
That's a weird one. She was in a weird position because when you're their manager, you have to
Be nice.
You have to treat them differently. You have to be nice. It's different than a creepy coworker, creepy customer. You're in a odd position, but you would think of it as a position of power. But this creep managed to kind of turn the tables on that position of power because he was able to see how he could control her. I have OCD, walk me to my car. I need to meet with you in private to talk about something before you take this new role. He flipped the script, the power script on her.
Yeah, what a twist. That's you never think of it that way. But that happened, and that was that poor woman.
I think she was happy to change. Like she said, I guess she's moving to like another office or something within the company was kind of what I was getting from
Thank
that.
God.
Yeah, she was happy to get rid of him. But it shows how things like that and people like that can affect you. When you hear her story, it wasn't that dramatic, but she's like, he was one of the scariest guys I've ever met.
Which is like terrifying because she could clearly see through his facade, if you will. But like, what do? How do you call that out without breaking some sort of rule, like work rule? I don't know. You can't accuse someone of that.
Kind of like Olivia's Uber creep, where it was, what he's doing and where it's going. It's not obvious enough that you can call them out. He's being creepy. He's using these little things to his advantage to stay close to her. And you know it. He knows it.
Yeah.
But it's not obvious enough that you can be like, see?
Well, exactly. Then you look crazy.
Yeah, it's walking that thin line. And then if this guy's also, she says he was always gaslighting and manipulating. It's such a delicate dance you have to do in some creep encounters.
And, that's really, it's unfortunate, like for anyone in that situation. But, people from England or what UK in general, they're known for like their dry humor and their ability to not take shit. So it's really sad that she had to endure that.
She had to take some
Yeah.
shit. Yeah. Well, in our next batch of stories, you're going to hear from someone in particular who doesn't take shit. We'll take our final break. And when we get back, we have 3 creep encounters, all related to pregnancy.
Nice.
It's going to be a great kind of topic to go out on. What's more settling than pregnancy-related creep encounters? We got some good ones. We'll get into it right after this break. Madelayne, you famously were pregnant in the early moments of this series, so you kind of reacted in a different way to a lot of the different pregnancy-related creep encounters, and you've called out, I think, more than once for listeners to contribute creep encounters related to pregnancy. They continue to come in. We got 3 tonight that are all very, I was going to say very good, but I will say very creepy. Let's start in Texas. We have a listener named Kristen who has a pregnancy creep story. Buckle up.
Hi, this is Kristen. I'm calling from Katy, Texas. I'm a brand new listener. I just discovered you about 2 weeks ago, and I just recently heard the episode where people were looking for other people to commiserate about unfortunate pregnancy comments. So I have a doozy for you.
Oh, no.
My son is now 22, so this is quite a long time ago. But when I got pregnant with him, I had been a ballet dancer prior. And so I was, slightly underweight at the time anyway, to maintain a healthy pregnancy. So in addition to the pregnancy weight to have a healthy baby, I needed to sort of compensate for being slightly underweight at the time. And in addition to that, my son was a 10-pound baby. And so I was well aware of how fast my body was changing and how I looked. Thank you very much. At the time, his dad and I were still married. He's not the greatest guy, but anyway, we were going to Thanksgiving, and my ex-husband's brother was just a prick, just like a clown tool prick. He was all the things. And anyway, so I walked in, and he said to me, "Are both of your thighs pregnant too?" So I told him to kiss both of my asses. And I don't think I spoke to him again after that. Anyway, there's your story.
What do you think of that one?
What did she say? Clown, tool, prick?
He was a clown, tool, prick. He was all of the things.
Oh
But
my
yeah,
God.
individually it was clown, tool, and prick. And I know exactly I've met a lot of clown, tool, pricks.
That's a triple threat. And we know too many of them.
Yeah, far too common of a triple threat, but the kind of idiot could you imagine, like, I don't think that could be taken as a joke. He was straight up insulting the pregnant woman by being like, "Are both your thighs pregnant too?"
And his pregnant sister-in-law, not
Yeah.
only should she have slapped him, her then husband should have slapped him. And the fact he didn't
Well,
speaks volumes.
Kristen didn't pull punches with him either, because he also sounds like a prick.
Yeah. Oh my God. Like, it's bad enough when someone asks a pregnant woman, "Are you sure there aren't two in there?"
Mm.
Like,
But
maybe let's not comment on pregnant women at all, but
mm,
especially any other part of her body other than her stomach. If you
yeah.
must say something, make sure it's about her belly.
In her case, she's as she described there, she was a little sensitive anyway because she was a ballet. I thought she said at first belly dancer, but no, ballet dancer. Which I guess a part of being a ballet dancer, it's like it's common that they're underweight anyway, probably to be ultra flexible and light on their feet and everything. But she was underweight, so she was gets pregnant. She has to gain weight to have a healthy pregnancy. So she would have been feeling a lot of stuff anyway with the change of her body. To have some guy make that joke, a brother-in-law, it's like I love kiss both of my asses.
That was the most perfect response
Yeah.
in the world. And I'm so glad that she dropped the husband and in doing that, dropped the brother-in-law.
Yeah. Yeah. He sucks. Let's hear another one. Here's Stacy's pregnant at Walmart creep experience.
Oh, Walmart, that's never good.
Mm-mm.
Hi, Madelayne and Jordan. My name is Stacy, and I have a pregnancy-related creep encounter for you guys. So I was at my local Walmart doing some grocery shopping. I had my twins with me, and they were probably about 6 months old at the time. Anyways, I was in my own little world, grocery shopping, not really paying much attention to what was going on around me. I was taken by surprise when I heard this man's voice, and it was kind of in like a bit of a creepy tone. And all of a sudden I just heard him say, "Wow, what a cute little fella." Me having been startled by him, I responded kind of sharply, like, "Oh, thank you." And then this man continues to stare as he's walking closer. And then he realizes that there's actually two babies there. So I was like, yes, they're twins.
Oh, God.
And then he comes very close to me and he puts his hand on my arm and says in somewhat of like a low voice, "Well, let me tell you, you look damn good for just having twins."
Ew.
And it was just that at the end that really got me. It was disgusting. Anyways, yeah. So then he gives my arm a little rub and he walks away. And as he's walking away, he's like staring back at me. And at this point, I'm like utterly creeped out. And now this man, I would estimate him to be probably like late 50s, early 60s, maybe. He's very unkempt, dirty, like he had a dirty t-shirt on and the shirt was too small for him and he had like a big belly. Anyways, yeah. So needless to say, Walmart gives me PTSD now anytime I go there.
It's just like classic Walmart fella.
Even before she described how he looked, that's what I was picturing in my mind.
Yeah.
Like it's amazing, actually.
Yeah, the shirt was like too small, too tight, and it's been washed so much that he shouldn't even be wearing it anymore. You know, it's like so thin.
You should have told him that
smell
he
this
looks
guy.
great for being pregnant with twins too.
That would have been good. But I can hear him being like, "You look great for having twins." That is disturbing. Like what he's thinking about when he makes that sound is just so gross and vile.
And what did he think was going to happen? That she was just going to like rip her clothes off and be like, "Thank you."
I think he probably thought she was just going to be like happy that she made him feel this way or that he looked at her this way. I wonder if he's just that full of himself that she's going to love it.
Yeah, maybe when he looks in the mirror, he still sees like 20-year-old him, which would probably still be creepy, but just less old and fat. Ugh. Oh, that poor woman.
That's bad. You know,
like, get away from me and my babies.
Yeah. We have two really good creep stories left. Let's finish with our final pregnancy creep. This one is an absolute doozy. And then I got an absolute doozy of a WTF creep encounter to go out on. Let's first hear about Tiffany's creepy pregnancy collector.
Oh no.
See what I mean? You'll see what I mean.
I don't like this at all.
This is a weird one. This could be a movie.
Oh no. That's not something you want to hear.
My name is Tiffany. I just listened and you said something about pregnancy creeps. My mom, she got this new boyfriend and we were moving her into his house and he had a brother that was in a wheelchair, so he was like in the house most of the time and didn't really go out. But he passed away about 6 months after she had moved in, and we were cleaning out all of his stuff, and he had like 4 pregnant Barbie dolls. He had little action figures that were pregnant. He had like a pregnant Alice in Wonderland. It was just this creepiest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And I had not thought about that for a while until you mentioned pregnancy creeps. Anyway, that's my short story. Thanks for listening. Love your show. Bye.
Imagine what his Google search history was, or like his Pornhub search history.
Oh, stop it.
But, you know, in that same breath, like, at least, you know, everyone's got their thing.
Yeah.
At least he was like private about it. And
I guess.
Well, I mean, we don't know if he was outwardly creepy about it, but at least he never like made it known that that's his thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm trying to think, like, if I died, what could people find that would be like, oh, she was weird. She had a bunch of cups by her bed. Yeah, I don't know. Like it's weird. I don't know if it's creepy. It's weird, but everyone's got their thing.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Let's go out with a wild one here. This one is maybe of all the stories tonight, this is the one that probably brings us the closest to the line of criminality. This one is, it involves a pizza shop. This is Libby's Pizza Place Creep. This will be our final creep story of the night. Here it comes.
So I used to work at a pizza place and we had this customer come in and he was just honestly a creep, like an absolute creep. I initially felt bad for him because I could tell there was something a little bit wrong, but I don't think that excuses the behavior. So what happened was he would always come in, order a large pizza all to himself, and just sit there and stare at us girls while we worked for like hours and just slowly eat this pizza. And then we all put up with it because he usually left a really, really good tip. So we were like, oh, there's this creepy guy again, but at least like one of us will get a really good tip. So whatever. This one time he left, and he left a tip for me. And his tip for me was an open package of bratwursts that had a couple missing. And I don't know if that was supposed to mean something or what that was, but he was gone and I didn't have to deal with him anymore. And then I actually ended up quitting a little while later to go to college. And I worked there over the summer and noticed that he wasn't coming in. So I asked about it. And they said, oh, yeah, he got banned for jacking it at one of the tables watching the girls. And so, yeah, grade A creep right there.
Yeah, that is illegal. That is very illegal.
Yeah, I saw that ending coming. Though. I knew like if it wasn't, it was only a matter of time before that went down. But what he gave her bratwurst? There's like pepperoni sticks.
I think it's like bratwurst is just sausage, like farmer sausage. I'm picturing in my mind.
So did he give her like uncooked sausage? And why did he have them? Why were some missing?
Why were two missing? Why is he toting that around and leaving it as a tip?
Why would he sit eating a large pizza just staring at the show? It's and the show is like, people working, making pizza.
Young women.
All the oils and grease in the food. Like that is a disturbing scene. Luckily for her, she wasn't there when the real show went down, because that sounds awful.
How do you deal with that? Like, does the manager have to say something? Do you like call him out loudly so everyone can hear and like kind of shame him?
The actual incident, I have a feeling the way it happens is someone shrieks. Like, would you not shriek when you saw it?
Yeah.
Either shriek or yell like, what are you doing? Get out. I feel like it's that.
I feel like I'd get mad and like start a confrontation with him from a safe distance, of course. I don't want to touch anything near him.
He got banned. Should he have gotten arrested and banned?
Yeah. Yeah, he should have. Because what is that?
Indecent exposure.
Yeah, public exposure or whatever.
But then again, we don't know exactly what he did, and I don't know if we want to talk this out. But what if he was sitting there like rubbing his pants? You know what I mean?
Well, she said he was jerking it.
Yeah, which would imply it was visible. Because I think it's only criminal if it's visible.
Right. And I think that's a really good description. Like, you can't, that's not up for, like, what word am I looking for? That's not up for.
It's not subjective?
Debate. It's not subjective. Thank you. You took the word right out of my brain.
It wasn't in your brain. You were looking for it. I brought the word to you.
Well, thank you for finding it for me. Like, it's not like, oh, well, that could mean this. No. That means one thing and one thing only.
Yeah. But would it be illegal if he didn't expose himself and he was like.
It's gotta be.
Yeah. It's certainly grounds to be banned.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. We should ask someone that would know.
How would you? And then how could you possibly bring that up to someone who would know? Who would know? A lawyer
cop or a
police
lawyer?
Officer? We should call the police station and be like, say if there's this guy.
My friend is a 911 dispatcher, and she would just kill me if I dialed 911 to ask this question. But we could ask the non-emergent line.
Yeah, well, I'll see. I'll ask around and see if we can figure it out.
Ask around. Perfect.
I'll just put feelers out. I'll make a post on social media being like, if someone was rubbing their pants and clearly like pleasuring themselves, but their private part wasn't visible.
And are we talking hand outside of pants or hand in pants? See, now this is.
Yeah, sheesh. I was thinking outside of pants.
I wasn't.
Yeah, I guess given that she said he was jerking it, that he either had himself exposed or his hand was in his pants.
Regardless.
It'd be interesting to know where that falls legally.
What kind of pants was he wearing? Like jeans would be too tight.
Okay, let's not paint that clear of a picture. But jogging pants.
Oh, he for sure was like a sweatpants kind of guy. I don't need to know to know.
Gross.
Anyway.
We got through a lot of creep encounters tonight. Do you have one that's going to make you wash your hands a second time after finishing here?
Refresh my memory.
We heard about Uber/Lyft driving creeps. We heard about pregnant at Walmart guy who went, We heard about the pregnant doll collection. We heard about the guy, well, actually, I guess the criticizing the woman's weight pregnancy creep. He's not really a creep. He's an idiot.
Yeah. He's a clown. What was it? Clown tool prick?
Clown. Yeah, exactly. We had the creep who needed the mentor.
Ugh.
And then, of course, this pizza shop guy.
So I think my favorite is pizza shop guy, just because it was so creepy. But I gotta, the pregnant doll guy.
I know, that's so unexpected.
I don't know. I feel sorry for him, honestly. Like, imagine dying and then your deepest, darkest secrets being exposed just because you died.
Yeah, that's true. And as far as we know, he didn't bother anyone with it. But what I like about that story, quote unquote, like is maybe not the right word, but what sticks with me about that story and what I like about a lot of these stories is just that absurd, off the wall, unexpected twist.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't have seen that coming.
No, you could have given me 100 guesses and I wouldn't. Pregnant dolls would not have been on the radar for me.
I enjoy all of these stories. They're enjoyable as something to talk about, but again, they're cautionary tales to keep your eyes open and your wits about yourself. And, starting the story off with that in the news creep encounter, it gives a sense of how far these can and do go. But then the listener contributed stories, they just kind of creep up to that. I think this really works. I'm glad we've done 29 episodes of this. I think we'll do 29 more. So anyone out there who has a creep encounter, go to thecanadiangothic.com/contact, use the voice recorder, and send us your creep encounter. And maybe we'll use it in episode 30.
Episode 30, that's a milestone. So we're going to make episode 30 the creepiest.
We'll try to do that, but let's put a bow on this one for now. Madelayne, thank you for another great night.
Oh, I'm always here for a good creep.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of The Canadian Gothic. But let me give an extra special thank you to everyone who took the time to share their creep encounters with us. These stories, albeit a little bit entertaining, are a great reminder to keep our eyes open and our wits about us. And to anyone else out there who has a story to share, we're going to be doing a whole bunch more episodes in this series, and we'd love to hear your story. You can share it with us by going to thecanadiangothic.com/contact. If you got a story to share, go to the site now. The voice recorder's easy to use, and don't worry if you mix things up or misspeak. I'll edit before it goes to air and make sure we all sound our best. We're excited to hear from you. Now, with that said, a few more thanks to give out. First, a big thanks to Madelayne Klein for sharing another evening with me and with you, the listeners of the Canadian Gothic. Thanks to Linz from the Dystopian Simulation, who provides the intro and outro voiceovers, and Monty Datta, who provides the music for this episode. And then lastly, but most importantly, a massive thank you goes out to each and every one of you listening to the Canadian Gothic, as without your interest and your support, this show would be as pointless as it would be impossible. Now, on the topic of support, let me thank the newest subscribers to the premium feed. Irma, Kirsten, and Claire, thank you for going premium. And for anyone else who'd like to support the show, you can do it in a variety of ways. First of all, a premium feed subscription costs just a couple bucks a month, and that money will fund the creation of new episodes. But the premium feed will also give you those episodes 2 days early, give them to you ad-free, and give you access to a back catalog of episodes. If that sounds like something you're interested in, you can go premium at thecanadiangothic.com/subscribe. And even if you don't want to go premium, you can still support the show by sharing this episode on social media and telling all your friends to listen. Your support is very much appreciated. With that, I'm going to close this off, but let me remind you, take care of each other, hug your loved ones tight, and let me know if you see anything weird. or if you encounter a creep.
Thank you for listening to Canadian Gothic.